Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. The next Wasteless World Talks are here. And today we are not three, we are four. Bill, Kevin, and James. We will have the same way of doing things. So let me start. Today's topic is coincidence. Bill, I have you on the screen. So please close your eyes and tell me what you see first if you hear the term coincidence.
I don't believe in it.
Great answer.
You want more than that?
No, it's enough.
It's
because we will have 40 minutes to talk about it. James, I have you next. So let's try. If you close your eyes and you hear the term coincidence, do you see something?
Well, yes. It's very subjective. Like what Bill was saying. Some people believe it, some people don't believe it, and I kind of respect both.
Okay. And Kevin, the same procedure with you?
Yeah, I actually see two things. The first is my ignorance of synchronicity, because the second thing I see is there is no such thing as a coincidence. It is a sign, it is a message, it is an indication of something, and that's something in synchronicity, and I don't know enough about it, and it's so frustrating.
You know, it's quite interesting. Bill and Kevin knows that I have the same topic 3 hours ago, talking with people from all around the globe, and it was very, very interesting because many came to the conclusion what Bill says, that coincidence does not exist, and generally they reach it all the time after some, let's say, very strong happening in their life. One of them, Gao, for example, lost his mother. And with that, helped him to understand what happened before was not coincidence. Pat from Australia lost her pigment on her entire skin within just a few months' time. And then at the end, she has a butterfly on her back. And a few months later, she met Pat Adams, who is generally bringing joy into hospitals to children. And his sign was a butterfly. So I think that I do not believe in coincidence anymore, because I think what happening is the result of something what was prepared, of a process which takes a long time. And this is why we are here. This is why James, from today on, is the Industry 5.0 ambassador for oceans. This is why we met today, which is the International Labor Day. Is it celebrated in your country, Bill?
No. You know what? There are so many little holidays and so on. There's a holiday for everything. Let me just open up my calendar. It automatically, no, my calendar says it's the first day of Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. That's the only, so it's not Workers' Day.
Kevin, I think in Denmark and in Germany, there is today celebrated, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a big party going on right now in the People's Park in Copenhagen. But it depends. It's not an official holiday. It depends which union you're a member of. And if you're not a member of a union, then it's up to your boss to let you go for half a day or not.
We have state holiday. We have state holiday. And
really?
When I was a kid, yes, generally in a communist time, everybody has to go on May 1st to the streets. It was a parade, everyone. There was no exception. What about you, James? Is there this today? Is this celebrated as a Labor Day?
Oh, yes. Actually, the Labor Day is the national holiday for most of them, especially in Asia. You can see messages from Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand. I think it is depending on the region. I think people in this region, they celebrating a lot of festivals, not only on their religion, but also things like, Labor Day also taking into consideration. So putting the list as a national holiday. So people has been greetings one another on this very special day.
I have one more question for you, James.
Yeah.
Do the people on the sea, so your people, when you are somewhere in the middle of ocean, do you celebrate this type of celebrations? The crew is rather small, but international.
Well, the ship itself, we are having a registration of different countries. It's like a ship's nationalities. So example, if the ship is flying a Hong Kong flag, so there are some public holidays that is celebrating in Hong Kong. As a Hong Kong flag ships, you are obliged to celebrate that holiday. So it depending if your ships is a Danish flag, for example. So anything happening in Denmark for the reason of a public holiday, you as a captain, you have to draft it out. That is a public holiday. Although ships doesn't have any holiday, I mean ships have to work 24 hours every day. We still segregate a day, a special day for the crew, example like festival, season, some party or half day. I never experienced a full day off for a ship, but we do have half day for the crew. Definitely not for the one who are controlling, navigating the ships, but I'm talking about like engineers. Instead of working like 10 hours a day, we work like just 1 hour, just one guy make the round and that's it, finish, just to make sure the ship is running. And yeah, that's how we act. Yeah.
It's quite interesting.
James, where are you? James, where are you?
I'm now on vacation. I'm now on vacation in my hometown. I'm actually staying in Malaysia, a very small country between Thailand and Singapore. I've chosen to stay here after staying in London and also in New Zealand. I actually have been staying overseas for many years, and I decided to, to come back to Malaysia to live here because of the tropical weather and of course the people and the food and having a good time on internet. I can actually connect with any people around the world just in a room. It's amazing, you see, the internet.
Well,
if you speak about internet, Bill and Kevin, you know that yesterday was the Global Zero Data Day, which I call at the beginning of the month. Bill, have you been able to be without connection yesterday?
No. I thought about it one time. But we'll have to do a better job next year.
You don't have to wait. It was so successful for me and many responses. I decided to make it every month.
Okay. Okay, good.
Nice.
What about you, Kevin?
Well, at half, I was from 8 o'clock in the morning until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I was in a workshop, so I was offline. But after that, I had to plug back in.
I really did it. I really switched off my Wi-Fi and everything in the midnight and switch it on the next day at 4 a.m. or so. And it was fascinating. I was able to do so much work. 12 chapters for the blog. I can sell my car in the meantime. I make several visits. I ride on the unicycle about 80 kilometers a day. And it was so fascinating. And the most fascinating part was some of the people, and they know that I was offline, they give me a call. They said, you cannot be offline because there can be some urgent email. And I said, no, if there will be urgent, they will give me a call. There was not a single one was urgent, not a single one. So next day was fine. And it was really great. And the response, I mentioned it on a logistic conference I was last week, at the end of last week. generally all the people in logistics said, it's impossible, but we will try, which was great. What about connectivity and you on the ship? Kevin, James, sorry. I think that there can be quite a difficulty with connectivity, or is it better than 20 years ago?
You see, we have actually experienced life without internet for many years. You know, when I started sailing 18 years ago, there's no internet on the ship. So we have to send text to our wife, to our family right before the ship sailed. Because the moment you sail, you lost the sight of the last island on the horizon, and that's it. No more. For the next 20 days, 30 days, you're sailing without the internet. But of course, we have something we call as the satellite phone. Like mentioned from Michael, if there's something urgent, there's a phone call from shore to the ship, which we do not expect it, because sometimes, most of the time, it's not a good news if you receive a very urgent telephone call. And as I think it's part of evolution, now we have internet. In fact, the internet is so advanced right now that I can go on LinkedIn, social media on the ship, that nobody really know where I am. They are confused. James, are you on land right now, or are you on the ship? Because with internet right now, you can actually make live. You can speak on the phone. You know, at sea, in the middle of Pacific Ocean, in the middle of Atlantic Ocean. So I think it's very amazing. But if you talk as a perspective of a captain, I think it's a very big headache, because with internet right now, there's pro and cons. Because with internet, I think the younger generation, they capture a lot of things on the ship, which I think is very confidential. As a captain, I feel very uncomfortable if people take photo on the ship. Some of the information, I would respect my job, that I don't really expose a lot of things on social media about, you know, the design. It's like taking a photo of your house. Some people, they find comfortable, some people they find, no, I don't take any videos on my house, inside my house. So and I think there are a lot of emails as well on the ship, because I remember those captains, the older generation captains, they don't have any emails every day. They have telex, yes, fax machine, yes, maybe, but not every day, like in the office, you know. So if you look at the captains today, the modern captains, early morning they wake up, they don't check the ship's position. First they check the company email. I think this is the modern captains. The moment they wake up, the first thing they check email. Anything from the manager, anything from the superintendent, anything from the shore, you know. So I think this is a little bit overwhelming. It's disturbing the main purpose of the captain. I think the captain's job is to bring the ship from A to B, is the navigation concern. But right now, it's too much, too many, you know, unnecessary emails flying in and there. So I wouldn't say it's right or wrong, but I would respect it as a part of evolution,
Okay, so
as any industry.
you speak about evolution, but Bill, do you think that it is a coincidence that we are led into this situation where if you wait on the train station, the first what people look for is not food or water, they look for a plug and Wi-Fi? Do you think it was intentionally directing us, leading us to this stage of slavery?
So coincidence. Sometimes we look at these words and we say, well, what is the opposite? So what is the opposite of coincidence? So is the opposite of coincidence predetermination? So if you think that that is, then I have no choice. But I will ask you this question. How did a girl born in Minsk, Belarus, end up marrying a boy born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania? If it's not coincidence, is it random? See, what I think is that um, I think about heaven. What happens after we die? And I don't think it's like we've been told all along, or maybe it's a little bit, but I think everybody is both dead and alive at the same time. And I believe that my father, who passed on a long time ago, and his mother and his dad are watching after me. And I think that they are nudging me, and they're nudging other things to happen. So that's not predetermination. And it's not coincidence. I just think that it's a very dynamic world, and it's not either dead or alive. I think it's both.
Kevin, you usually know the answer for the question, what is the opposite of? So what is the opposite of coincidence? That's challenging.
Actually, technology is a big opposite of coincidence. If you consider what Bill says, it's synchronicity and reading of these signs. They're the most subtle form of communication we have. You know, it is a nudge. It is extremely subtle. And if you're on your mobile phone, you're going to miss the signs. You're not open. Your antenna just isn't up for something which is extremely difficult and subtle to read in the first place. And I think that the danger of technology is that it reduces our ability to use our intuition.
Which
I
came very,
love that.
which came very close to what James said about the captain in the old days and today. Email will not help to write the right direction, but the feeling and the experience and all this knowledge which captains gather during the years, it will help. But if disturbed, I will say then the bridge collapse if it's hit. I know there was some other issues, but do you think, James, that it can go back to the old times? So stepping on the ship will be no distraction through internet, because you can have a internet jammers. It's a technology which exists and it can be applied easily. But what do you think?
I think yes, you can, because most of the things on the ship we are using quite offline mode. Most of the things. So if you ask me, because we have Wi-Fi breakdowns before, and it doesn't mean ship have to stop. It doesn't say like, oh, Captain, I cannot work today because no Wi-Fi. No, we can work, because to us, I always remind the crew, the Wi-Fi is a privilege, and privilege can be taken away. You cannot really rely on Wi-Fi. Sometimes you have, sometimes you don't. And for us, we have to depend on the weather. Sometimes we have very bad weather. There is no Wi-Fi because the signal is very bad. So I always tell them, we come here to work, and our job doesn't require Wi-Fi. Your Wi-Fi can be used only during your rest time, and it can be taken away if it breaks down. See, so I think it can. But if you look at the company perspective, because if you see, maritime is a very strange industry. With internet, the company wanted to control the ship from land. They wanted to know what is happening on the ship. So for captain, we try to give as limited information as possible to the company to make sure everything is under control. Even though we have people injury, we have people fall down, we have something that is bad. I mean, nothing is perfect, yes. So the company wants to know. So I think the captains have to play a very big responsibility in a way to protect the crew, at the same time give a good impression to the company. That is the challenge.
Thank you for that. And generally, on the last session, I mentioned to Bill and Kevin that there started, they call it GPS jamming for airplanes. So they start to jam and you cannot see the, and it's, of course, it's quite difficult, especially in the environment where the pilots get used to that everything will be done by technology. But what about the AI, Bill? Is AI here to help what Kevin so nicely described? So to take even more of this technology to us and our internal whatever system, to keep it away from us, to hide it from us.
So I think we get used to it. I think we get used to technology. I think it was not so long ago when we did not have um, television, or we had the radio, or before that, we did not even have the telegraph. How long has that been? That's been less than 200 years, and man has been on Earth for uh, I don't know, 100,000 years or some long time. And we got used to fire, and we got used to communicating with the telegraph, um, and and we'll get used to AI, and we'll get used to uh, uh, the goggles and all of that, and we will evolve, and our thinking will evolve into something. And that's the challenge. What will we be evolving into? AI will not control us any more than the telephone controls us. Well, some people would say that the telephone does control us, but um, we will get used to it, and we will evolve into something else. And the smart people will evolve so that they can use these tools or not use these tools, turn them on, turn them off, like you're doing with the global zero data day. Uh, Turn it off and exist as a human being without it, just for a day. So I think that that's what I think. I think we're in a progression headed towards headed down this journey.
I have to come back to the logistic conference. There has been a lot of people speaking about data management, master data, and so on. So because logistic is, among others, information exchange. And I just ask myself, do you think that AI, Kevin, work with coincidence?
No way. Nope. Anything to do with human sensitivity has nothing to do with AI. AI is just a mimic, and it cannot mimic a thing as sensitive as synchronicity.
So AI cannot deliver any result as a coincident.
Then it's coincidence then it is just a statistical blip.
Okay.
But as we're saying, there's no such thing as a coincidence. It is something much deeper. AI can only deliver statistical anomalies.
James, I have learned at school that America was found by Columbus by incident. Does it still happen? No, this is what I learned, Bill. This is what I have learned in the school. That it was, they have been looking for India and they arrived to America. This is why they call them Indians. So this is what I have learned in my communist country school. So, James, do you think there is still coincidence or coincidence happening on the ship?
Well, if you ask me as a very practical person, I don't think coincidence really does. It might does exist, but to some extent, I would say there are things with consequences. I would believe more towards consequences than coincidence, because a lot of things happens for a reason. So I always believe in that. We are a very practical person. We work on the ship. We have risk assessment. We carry out the assessment before we carry out any jobs. So example, if you fell down on the floor today on deck, it doesn't mean you just wake up and you just fell on the floor. We assess back why. it doesn't really coincidence if he fell on the floor. There's a consequences because he didn't wear a very good shoe, or he was just woke up, he is not aware of the situation. Is it any ice on deck, or is there a bad situation on the ship causes him fall on the floor? So I think I would say consequences would be the better word, not just coincidence. And if you talk about just now you talk about this chat GPT, right? I actually want to add a point. Actually, the chat GPT is something like fast food. Fast food compared to home cooked food. If you look at this point of view, the fast food itself has been so much advanced around us, but we doesn't abandon what is cooking at home. We still cook at home. We still do the manual cooking, but the fast food that actually available outside is really for some people that really need it because of the time. You see, ChatGPT save a lot of time in writing, prepare some text, very good context in terms of speech, people preparing for talking in front of the public events with limited time preparation compared with manual humans. So I think there is some extent the benefits of ChatGPT, but that doesn't mean that we have to stop learning. I know there are people say with ChatGPT there's no use of going to school, you don't have to do university anymore, but it really comes with the same question again, like fast food and home cooked food. You have fast food outside, KFC, you have Texas chicken, you have McDonald's, but it doesn't mean you stop cooking at home. You still cook at home, you still have kitchen at home. We just have to balance out when is the right time we use the fast food. When we are traveling to work, we have a very short time, but we still enjoy what is cooking at home. So I think there's a balance between these two.
It's quite interesting. Yesterday, I have seen on LinkedIn, not yesterday, day before yesterday, because yesterday I was not online. Day before yesterday, I have seen a sign or something like that, which says the person who ate the S in the fast food was a marketing genius.
Yeah, I posted
because
that. Yeah.
Otherwise it is just a fat food. But
yes,
I would like to ask you, Bill, in my country, the term coincidence is used very frequently, and frequently is connected to good luck. Why do you think is so?
That's a good question. Maybe because we think that we don't deserve what just happened, a good thing, or we don't want to say that we deserve it. Might be too egocentric. So we blame it on good luck. Hey, I'm just a lucky person.
Because at the beginning you mentioned the young man from the US and the young lady from Belarus, from Minsk, who met. And so what was it? That's a question. Kevin, what do you think? Because it was quite interesting that in the noon session, generally the understanding that coincidence does not exist came after a negative. Something negative happened. And it generally deleted the connection between good luck or life or coincidence as it is. So I see something on what Bill says. It was quite interesting. What is your opinion about this topic?
I think that there's two things about our use of coincidence. I think the first is, well, there's two possibilities. The first is either it was decided by someone with no imagination and no feeling and no sensitivity at all, or more likely, it has something to do with the church. Because the church won't have any competition at all. And so just the mere fact that there may be more between heaven and earth than we think could easily explain why it has been taken away from our consciousness and replaced with coincidence.
James, are you religious? Because I am not.
No,
Okay.
I'm not.
So we are four. We met in. That's not coincidence, you know, because none of us is. But of course, we do see the power of church. We see the power of religion. We see the power of politicians, politics, no matter how bad it is, but it is here, and it was introduced on purpose, same as time, for example. So it's quite interesting. It's quite interesting. Yes.
You say there are four of us here who are not religious. I view myself to be religious.
Ah, sorry for that.
But I do not believe. I believe in a God, just not a God as described by organized religion. I believe that there's a higher power, but I think that that higher power is the conglomeration of all the people who have lived before. There's a universal energy. And when a baby is born, a little drop of that universal energy goes down to earth for 50 years or 80 years or whatever it is. And when that person dies, that universal energy goes back and joins all the universal energy. I am religious in that sense, but I am not religious in that I believe everything that all the churches say.
The same for me. My daughter teach me that I am not. There is a special term for people who do not believe in God. I just forgot it.
Atheist.
Yes, atheist. So she explained to me that I call myself atheist because I thought that it's a person who does not believe, but she explained to me that I'm not atheist because I do believe in something which you describe quite well.
Mhm.
So I filled out a form recently that asked for my religion, and there was a long list of organized religion, but the very last one said non-denominational. And I kind of like that. I checked that box. I kind of like that. Non-denominational. Yeah.
I like that. I think I'm with you two guys on this one. The other interesting thing is that I believe in a higher power, and I also believe in a lower power. And I think that with that balance in mind, you can avoid an awful lot of trouble.
There is an author from Brazil by the name of Paulo Coelho. Several very interesting books. All of them have a very similar theme.
Right now, your microphone is somehow a little struggling, Bill. Little one.
Really? Okay.
Right now, it's fine. Yes.
Okay. And his main point is that the best person in the world, Mother Teresa, for example, if you look very closely, she probably has or had a tiny speck of black or of evil in her. The very worst person in the world, mass murderer, and so on, the very worst person has a tiny speck of white in him or her. So we all are some along that spectrum. So I agree, Kevin, with what you're saying about higher power for the good and a lower power for the other side. And I think we all have part of both.
I have to ask something, James.
Yeah.
From the first time you take the first sip of your drink, I would like to ask you what it is, because it's dark blue, and I don't think you drink the ocean.
No, it's black. It's a coffee.
It's black.
Coffee.
It looks
Black
blue
coffee.
to me, dark blue. So I was thinking, so he is so connected with the ocean that he is even drinking the ocean.
It's Blue Mountain coffee.
Good one,
Okay.
good one. Yeah.
We have only 4 minutes left. So
Mhm.
I will give you 1 minute each. Do you to answer following question?
Yes.
Is your current stage, which means so your current stage, is it coincidence? Bill.
No, I think it is. I think it is the consequence of many things, both my own choices and within me, also of, I mentioned my father, um, people around me, and so on. And it's a very tangled mess, but this tangled mess is what got me to this point of my journey.
Thank
Yeah.
you. James, the same question for you.
Same like Bill. I think many of the things that I am today, it's the decision I've made from the beginning of my career. I've chosen to the sea, not because the sea chose me, and I really worked through it. The ships that I sailed, the people I met, the rough weather we have faced, all these things is the action I've taken many years ago and where I am today as well. So I think including Kevin, yourself, whatever we do today, it's all by our action. It's not really by coincidence. Even you approach me today for this industry 5.0, it doesn't drop from the sky. It really takes a lot of observation, takes a lot of time to go on LinkedIn. You have to find that person, or it comes with the feed. You need to text that person, and that person need to respond your message. Then only we can be connected. So I think a lot of things are connected with the dots. So we don't underestimate with all this, because it will bring a lot of bigger things in the future. Yeah.
Thank you. And the same question to you, Kevin.
If you think of what we consider coincidence, then I'm here because I followed all the coincidences. When you needed a door to be open, a door was open, and just go through it extremely quickly. So everything I've done, the reason I'm here is because I've listened, looked for the signs, listened for them, and taken them every single time.
You know, what you said is just now make me proud and happy. Because all of us, we are humans, we listen to these senses. We did not let the technology decide for us. Not a single one. Of course, we used, because it's here, we use this camera and Zoom to call, to speak to each other. Of course, we use the computer to write something, to send email, because these are tools. But we never let them manage our life.
Yes.
And I think that's so important. This is why I hope that people who will be listening again, and this is already, I think, 79th or 78th episode, that they will understand what is needed to be done, not to be enslaved by technology, but to use it as a tool. So let me thank you all, Kevin, James, Bill, for spending the time again with us. And let me wish you have a nice time, free of waste and wasting in all its forms. Stay safe, be free, and please remain human as you are. Thanks a lot. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.